My name is Siri Napa. I'm 74 years old, and I need to tell you something that would have saved me decades of exhaustion if I had understood it sooner. The moment I stopped forcing my life finally began to move. Not because I gave up, not because I stopped caring, but because I finally stopped fighting the current of my own fear. You see, for most of my life, I believed that struggle was proof of worth, that if something mattered, I had to push for it, chase it, grip it tightly with both hands and refuse to let go, especially when it came to money, especially when it came to security, especially when it came to proving that I was capable. I forced everything. I forced conversations. I forced decisions. I forced opportunities. I even forced optimism. And the harder I pushed, the tighter everything felt. Have you ever felt that? Like you are swimming against a current that never ends? Like you are trying so hard to make something happen that your entire body feels tense, your jaw tight, your shoulders raised, your breath shallow. That was my normal state for almost 40 years. I remember one very specific evening. I was 48 years old, sitting at my small dining table with papers spread out everywhere. Bills, notes, plans, calculations. I was trying to figure it out. I kept saying that phrase in my mind, I have to figure this out. And the more I tried to force a solution, the more confused I became. My head hurt. My chest felt tight. And suddenly I realized something very uncomfortable. I had been trying to control outcomes that were not responding to control. And in that moment, something inside me whispered a question. What if the forcing is the blockage? I didn't understand it immediately, but I was too tired to keep pushing. So I did something radical for me. I stopped. I pushed the papers aside. I leaned back in my chair, and for the first time in months, I didn't try to fix anything. I just sat there, and something unexpected happened. My breathing slowed, my mind quieted, and in that quiet, an idea surfaced. Not a dramatic breakthrough, just a small, clear next step. Call one person. Not solve the whole problem, just call one person. I had been trying to solve everything at once. The moment I stopped forcing the entire solution, clarity arrived for the next step. That was the beginning of a lesson that changed my entire life. Let me tell you something important. Forcing comes from fear. Flow comes from trust. When you force, you are telling the universe, I don't believe this will work unless I control it. When you flow, you are saying, I will move with what is unfolding. For years, I believed letting go meant laziness, weakness, failure. But I learned that letting go is not the same as giving up. Letting go is releasing resistance. There is a difference. Giving up says, nothing will work. Letting go says, I trust there is a better way than panic. I forced relationships. I forced money. I forced timing. And every time I forced, something broke. Opportunities slipped away. People withdrew. my body became exhausted. And the more exhausted I became, the more I forced. It was a cycle. Until one day, my body made the decision for me. I became sick. Not dramatically, but persistently. My doctor looked at me and said something very simple. You live in stress like it is your home. That sentence pierced me. Stress had become my normal temperature, and forcing was my religion. So I began experimenting with something new. When anxiety rose, instead of reacting immediately, I paused. When fear told me to act now, fix now, solve now, I waited. Not days, sometimes just minutes, but I interrupted the pattern. And here is what I discovered. When you stop forcing, your nervous system resets. When your nervous system resets, your perception widens. When your perception widens, you see options that panic hides. I cannot tell you how many financial decisions I made from fear, investments I rushed into, conversations I pushed, emails I sent too quickly, and when I began slowing down, the mistakes decreased. Not because I became smarter, because I became calmer. Calm sees clearly, panic sees threat. Money flows toward clarity. It resists panic. I want to speak honestly about something else. Forcing often hides insecurity. When I forced outcomes, I was secretly afraid that if I relaxed, nothing would happen, that I had to push the universe into cooperating. But the universe does not respond well to being pushed. It responds to alignment. Let me give you an image that changed everything for me. Imagine holding a handful of water. If you squeeze tightly, it spills out. If you cup your hands gently, it stays. That is how life works. That is how money works. That is how opportunity works. The tighter you grip, the more it slips. The softer you hold, the longer it stays. This does not mean you become passive. It means you act without tension. You move without desperation. You decide without panic. There is power in that. One of the most surprising shifts in my financial life happened not when I worked harder, but when I stopped obsessing. There was a project I wanted badly. For months I chased it, sent follow-ups, rewrote proposals, tried to impress. Nothing. Finally, I became tired of chasing. So I stopped. Not angrily, just calmly. And within 2 weeks, the opportunity returned to me. Not because I manipulated it, but because I removed the pressure. Pressure suffocates possibility. Space invites it. I began practicing what I now call the pause before action. Before any financial decision, I ask myself, am I acting from fear or from clarity? If it's fear, I wait. If it's clarity, I move. This simple change altered my financial energy faster than any strategy ever did. Because forcing is loud, clarity is quiet, and quiet decisions build stable wealth. Let me tell you something deeply important. Flow does not mean ease all the time. Flow means movement without resistance. Even when something is difficult, you can move with it instead of against it. When you stop arguing with reality, reality becomes workable. When you stop trying to control every outcome, you begin to cooperate with timing. And timing is everything. There were moments in my life when I wanted something so badly that I tried to bend circumstances. And when it didn't work, I felt rejected. Now I see something different. Many of the things I forced and lost were never meant to stay. The things that flowed into my life without strain, those stayed. That is not coincidence, it is resonance. When something is aligned with you, it does not require violence, it requires readiness. I want to ask you something gently. What are you forcing right now? A job? A relationship? A financial breakthrough? Are you gripping it so tightly that your entire body feels contracted? What would happen if you loosened your grip just a little? Not to abandon it, but to allow space. There is a very quiet sentence I repeat to myself when I feel the urge to force. It is this: if it is meant for me, I do not have to chase it. This sentence has saved me from so many exhausting pursuits. And I want to share one more truth. The moment you stop forcing is the moment you reclaim your energy. And energy is your greatest financial asset. Not money, not skills, energy. When your energy is not tangled in tension, it becomes creative. When it is not drained by obsession, it becomes magnetic. When it is not tight with fear, it becomes receptive. And receptivity is where flow begins. Tonight, I want you to try something very simple. Before you sleep, think of the one thing you are currently trying to control and say quietly, I release the need to force this. You don't have to believe it fully yet. Just say it. Then take one deep breath and feel your shoulders drop. You are not required to hold the entire world together. You are allowed to trust timing. I am 74 years old, and I can tell you this with certainty. Every major breakthrough in my life happened after I stopped pushing, after I surrendered the struggle, after I chose alignment over aggression. The moment you stop forcing, everything begins to flow. Not instantly, but inevitably. If these words resonated with you, stay here in this space. Subscribe if you feel called to walk deeper into these reflections with me. We are not chasing miracles here. We are learning alignment. And in the comments, if you're ready, write, I choose flow over force. Let it be your new direction, because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is relax your grip.